The Basics of a Hero. Part 2. The Hero Emerges. The town was eerily silent as Kyle approached, the buildings casting long shadows in the late afternoon sun. The once lively marketplace was now deserted, the stalls overturned, and the streets littered with the remnants of a desperate struggle. Kyle could hear the distant sounds of shouting and the clatter of weapons from the town square. As he rounded the corner, he saw them, the marauders. A dozen rough-looking men, clad in mismatched armor and wielding crude weapons, were ransacking the town square. The villagers had been rounded up, forced to watch as their homes and livelihoods were torn apart. Kyle took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. His heart pounded in his chest, but he pushed the fear aside. He had trained for this, and now was the time to prove his strength. Without a word, Kyle stepped into the square, his presence immediately drawing the attention of the marauders. They sneered at him, laughing at the sight of a lone man with a simple sword. "Look at this. Another hero come to save the day." One of them jeered, brandishing his axe menacingly. "You think you can take us all on by yourself, boy?" Kyle didn't respond. He focused on his breathing, calming his mind as he prepared for the fight. His years of training had taught him discipline, control, and the importance of staying calm under pressure. The first marauder charged at him, swinging his axe with wild abandon. Kyle sidestepped the attack effortlessly, his movements smooth and precise. With a quick flick of his wrist, he parried the next blow and countered with a swift strike to the man's midsection. The marauder crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The others hesitated for a moment, surprised by Kyle's speed and skill. But then they roared in anger and rushed him all at once. What followed was a blur of motion. Kyle's training took over, his body moving on instinct as he parried, dodged, and countered each attack with flawless precision. His sword was an extension of himself, each strike calculated and deliberate. Despite their numbers, the marauders couldn't land a single blow on him. The villagers watched in awe as Kyle fought, their fear slowly turning to hope. The man they had once known as a quiet, unassuming bull was now fighting like a seasoned warrior, effortlessly taking down the marauders one by one. As the last of the marauders fell, Kyle stood alone in the center of the square, his chest heaving with exertion. The battle had been intense, but he had emerged victorious. The villagers rushed to his side, their faces filled with gratitude and admiration. "You did it, Kyle. You saved us," one of them exclaimed, tears of relief streaming down her face. But Kyle only nodded, his expression somber. Despite his victory, the doubt still lingered in his mind. Had he really been strong enough, or had he just been lucky? Had his basic skills truly been enough to fulfill his mother's wish? As the villagers began to clean up the aftermath of the battle, an elderly man approached Kyle. He was the village elder, a wise and respected figure who had known Kyle since he was a child. "Kyle," the elder said, placing a hand on his shoulder, "I watched you fight today, and I must say, I've never seen anything like it. You fought with skill, precision, and a calm mind. You may think that your skills are only basic, but they are anything but. You have honed those basics to perfection, and that is what makes you strong." Kyle looked at the elder, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "But I only know the basics. I never mastered anything beyond that." The elder smiled gently. "It's not about mastering everything, Kyle. It's about mastering what you know. You've spent years honing your skills, and that dedication has made you stronger than you realize. You are the hero your mother always believed you could be. Tears welled up in Kyle's eyes as the elder's words sank in. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace. He had fulfilled his promise to his mother, not by mastering every skill, but by mastering the ones that mattered most. As the sun set over the village, Kyle stood in the square, surrounded by the people he had saved. They looked at him with admiration and gratitude, their faith in him unwavering. In that moment, Kyle realized that he was not weak, nor was he just a bow with basic skills. He was a hero,